In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do to get them hooked in the early stages of dating, and I'm going to show you what you must not do, which completely repels them from being and understanding who you are and feeling into that, and then also it literally will repel their energy if you do this. Now, when it comes to magnetic energy and when it comes to dating, one of the most important things to remember is people feel what you feel about you. How you feel in your body is being projected out, and other people feel that. And also we are projecting out what self-esteem is it's a projection of who we believe we are in our own self-image. So if we have a self-image that says I'm weak, I'm not a strong person, or I'm awkward, or insecure, or I'm shy, and there's something wrong with being shy, which there's not, then what happens is we literally project that energy out and people feel it, and it literally repels love or people from just resonating with us. Now, the key is softening that up and realizing your own sense of self-worth. The more worthy and the more love you feel, the more magnetic you will be. Now, at the same time with this, there's a book that I want to share with you that almost looks like it doesn't relate to this topic, but I promise you it does. Now, I'm getting ready soon to start a membership community / accountability monthly subscription. And this is something that I'm growing and starting within the next month or two. And I'm reading books about something called retention. Now, retention is this idea of kind of getting people hooked, and not only hooked, but getting people to stay. Because it's like, okay, if I'm going to start this membership, I want to get people in it, and I want people to stay in it for a long time because it's awesome. And it over-delivers, and people love the community, they love the accountability and all that. Well, reading this book, it talks about something called the retention point, which very much relates to magnetic energy and getting people hooked and staying. So it uses this example. Here's the example. It says, there's a point, it studied Netflix shows. And when you're watching a Netflix show, let's say you're watching Breaking Bad, or you're watching Ozarks, or you're watching some other Netflix show, there's something called the retention point. Now, the retention point is if you get to a certain episode in a certain show, there's a higher likelihood that you will finish the whole entire series. So, for example, in Breaking Bad, it might be episode 4 or 5. If you watch Breaking Bad up to episode 4 or 5, and you finish it, there's an 80% chance that you will finish the whole entire series because you have then been hooked and retention throughout the whole series. So that's called the retention point. So think about it, and when you're thinking of dating somebody, there's a point to where if you're dating somebody and you show the real you and you're in this energy with this person, that once something happens, once they're in a way energetically hooked, they will then stay and feel it out, and there'll be that retention. So retention is something, it's a moment in time when someone decides, this is my person, this is someone I'm interested, this is someone I'm going to see through. So in the same way that Netflix shows might have a retention point, to when then somebody is really bought in, to then they stay, the same type of energy exists in dating. And what the goal is so if I look at that retention point book or whatever, I'm now applying that to the course I'm creating, right? It's like, how quickly can I get someone to the retention point inside this new membership I'm creating to where they say, this is awesome, these are my people, this is where I want to be. And to do that, there's different things I could do. I could do a community event. I could do this event where I call people out and I get people engaged with each other and people feel awesome. It's an emotion. That's what the retention point is, an emotion where people feel hooked because they are vibing with it. They feel the emotion of it. Now, when it comes to getting people hooked in the early stages of dating, the key is understanding that the energy you feel, they're feeling, but if you can energetically and emotionally connect with them in the early stages of dating, they will then see it through and they will then be interested because it is based on an emotion. People feel and they make decisions based on emotion. Most people. Some people, they say that people make decisions based on emotions, but then they what do you call it? They verify it, or what is that called? Something it with logic. They verify, I'm thinking verify. I travel a lot. They validate it. They validate it with logic. So don't try to logic your way into dating where it's like, okay, I'm going to say the right thing at the right moment and they're just going to like me then and they're going to realize who I am. No, this is not a game of logic. They're only going to validate it with logic. They're then going to look at you, oh yeah, well, it makes sense. We see each other this often and blah, blah, blah. That's not what leads them. Emotion leads people into when it comes to dating. So here's another thing that I want to show you that I don't want you to fall into, because I did for a while. When you read books on dating, a lot of times they're very performance-based. Say the word, say the phrase, get them hooked like this, do this, and a lot of it's very manipulative. Well, that is also saying something to get a certain result. It's a means to an end. I'm going to say this line to you, and then you're going to be attracted. The key needs to not be manipulative like that. It needs to not be a means to an end. It needs to be present to the moment. Present to the moment. An end of itself. It needs to be values that are led with, that hook people in because it's who you are. There's one way you could go about something, and another way you go about something, and only thing that can change is the energy. It doesn't have to be what you do, but it's where it's coming from. So one of the things I highly recommend you do when it comes to getting people hooked into the early stages of dating is to not be afraid to polarize the person you're with or you're dating. Now, polarizing means that you say something bold or that you really vulnerably express the real you. Because a lot of times people that are empaths or people pleasers, they have trouble being vulnerable, showing the real you, showing the real emotion, showing the real physical intimacy, showing the real making a move. That sometimes can be something that people fear. But the goal is to express the real you and to be vulnerable. On dating, for me, this meant when I saw my girlfriend, I first met her, I realized that I had this thing where I would kind of put off showing my attraction to somebody else for weeks. And then people would be like, are they even attracted to me? And they wouldn't understand. Because they'd be like, well, I like him, we're hanging out. But what I eventually had to learn is I had to learn how to actually put it out there and to show that interest through my body language. And I did that with my girlfriend. There's been very strong polarity ever since because of that. Because I led and I was physically vulnerable in that way. But one of the most magnetic things you could do is to be either physically vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable, socially vulnerable. And as you are vulnerable in that way, you're showing the real you. That is attractive. That is very attractive and really does hook people in. So this is really about understanding the dynamic of energy when you start dating somebody, and don't play it safe. So many times people play it safe. I'm going to say the right thing to get the response. I don't want them. And here's the thing too that people do. This will get them hooked too. Feel safe in your own body and say things that are funny to you. Say things that are real to you. Because a lot of times people will tune themselves to someone else. What are you feeling? How are you thinking? And when we tune or are just focused on them because you're trying to get the validation or love or approval or whatever, or them to validate you, they feel that and it's unattractive. It literally will repel them. Remember this. Neediness is the kryptonite to love. Neediness blocks magnetic energy. Neediness blocks attraction. What you want to learn is how to develop an energy of non-neediness. Now, neediness and non-neediness, this is the difference. Neediness is you value what someone else thinks of you more than what you value what you think of you. Non-neediness is when you don't tune yourself to someone else to get their validation, love, or approval. Because you feel it within yourself. Remember, people feel what you feel. So the name of this game is how can you feel inside of your own body? How can you love and say things because you think it's funny, and hopefully they think it's funny as well. Of course, there's a balance to this. An extreme version of this is called narcissism, where you're like, only what I matters, only what I think is valid, that's different. But when you say things because it's fun or it's like more expressive of yourself and it's a little bit more bold and maybe it does polarize them one way or the other, that's a healthy thing. Holding yourself back will be the thing that blocks them from actually hooking into that retention point. So one of the most powerful things you can do to get them hooked in the early stages of dating is to actually be vulnerable, to express the real you, and to emotionally connect with them. Not to emotionally connect with them so you get to the retention point, but to be curious about them, to actually listen. That's also very magnetic. To listen while you're still feeling inside your own body and being present and enjoying it. Also, loosen up when it comes to dating. The more fun you have with them, the more likely also they're gonna, people feel what you feel. If you're having fun, they're gonna feel that, and that energy is gonna leak through, and it's gonna be something that's very magnetic. Having fun is a very important part of the process as well, because people feel what you feel. And if you feel needy, remember, neediness is kryptonite. If you feel needy, it's gonna repel them. And all needy is you value what they think more than you value what you think. It means if they don't like you or they feel a certain way about you, that really affects you. It doesn't have to. The key is not tuning to the external for safety and validation. It's tuning to the internal. It's knowing your own sense of self-worth. And I'd encourage you to draw it from a state of presence, not from a state of, well, I do this for a living and I make this much money, so I must be worthy or I must not be worthy. No, you are worthy because you exist. You are just worthy for being you. Be present in your body. Feel in your hands, feel in your feet. I know these things sound simple, these embodiment exercises, but it really does change a lot when you begin to embody this energy and you stop attaching to other people's frame. Magnetic energy really is something that everybody has. Once you let go of neediness and you start to develop this energy of non-neediness, which is not dependent on the outcome, but also feels safe within itself and expresses that on the inside. Also, something new I'm doing is if you want me to coach you or to answer your question, I'm taking questions right now. So all you got to do is click the link below or go to aarondowdy.com/question and put in your question there, or text me at 424-304-0104 your question. I'll go ahead and link that below so you can just click that link and you can go to that and text me your question. I'll be using those questions in future videos and I'll be replying as much as I can as well. So with that being said, there's also a video right here, the 3 magnetic secrets that will make you irresistible. One of my most powerful new videos. Watch this video right here. In this video, I'm gonna show you the 3 things that magnetic people do to pull you in energetically. I'm gonna show you how you can adopt them in your life and how by the end of this video, you're gonna have a